3, 2, 1. Hi, everybody. It's the Biohacking Blondes here, Molly and Alex. We are super excited to come with you guys today and chat a little bit about sleep. That's going to be our main topic for the day. And I know a lot of people have issues with sleep. So we're pretty thrilled to give you at least, hopefully a handful of tools and tips and tricks so that you can, know what to do when you're having a sleep issue. But Alex, how are you doing? How was your week?
Good morning. I'm yawning. As we're talking
How
about
was your
sleep.
sleep is what I should say.
Oh my goodness. It was not on my side. I was wrestling last night. I was
Yeah.
wrestling my husband and the pillow. It was rough. Uh,
Yeah.
but my week otherwise was good. We had a event on Saturday, which was great. It was a charity polo cup. That was really really fun. That was up at Windsor. That loved that. Loads of fun people and watching the horses. That was really great. And then I had on Friday I was installing an infrared bed to the first doctor, which I think is a big deal. It's the first doctor that I've dealt with that actually got this bed for. He's a neurological doctor in town, and that was super
Mm,
exciting. So he's installing it to use it on his neuro patients, which is anything from Parkinson's to Alzheimer's, etc. So I'm very excited to see his experience with it. So that would be super cool. And then yesterday I drove a van, a long like bus for the first time down to Miami. So my day was very unglamorous yesterday, but that's cool too. But as I said to you, Molly, we worked on our neuroplasticity, right? Because
mhm.
it's something that I've never done before. So I was driving
Yeah,
this bus, and we're creating new kind of highways in our brain, right? When we do something new. So I saw it
absolutely.
as a positive experience.
I
So,
mean, that's amazing. And it's so funny because for those who don't know Alex, I mean, she is so fabulous in every way. So,
oh,
so when you think,
you know.
so when you think about her driving a giant truck, you're kind of like, giggles to yourself because it's kind of a funny thought, but like it's also very cool. It's very like, kind of empowering to be in a big vehicle like that going,
Oh,
driving to Miami. So,
oh my God, with a bunch of boxes in it and like wooden crates. So,
yes,
anyways,
yes.
it was kind of ridiculous. What about you, Molly? What
Yeah.
have you been up to?
Well, I mean, I'm just having meetings per usual, which is great. I mean, last week we met up with a good friend of ours who is wanting to open up a wellness location in town, which is very exciting. So we've been all been in, and Alex and I have both been in talks with him. So we're very excited about that.
Yes.
And just the usual sort of meeting with clients and getting people organized and healthy. But I also thought too, like I didn't have a great sleep last night. So this is like a perfect podcast to to
Per-
discuss like what's happening, right, with both of us.
It's
Um,
perfect. Why
yeah,
don't you dive into it, Molly? Why don't you
yeah,
start with your tips and hacks?
absolutely. So sleep is actually kind of interesting, right? It's a little bit of it kind of how you sleep is also kind of like how you live your day. So if you have kind of a day that's a little bit off, it can often be mirrored in how your sleep is, right?
Okay.
So for example, you can, be on a blood sugar roller coaster all day. I often see that being a big sleep issue contributor, right? So like let's say you wake up in the morning, and I see this a lot with my female clients. They wake up, they drink a lot of coffee. They don't eat probably anything until like 2 p.m. This can often, drive blood sugar up and down and all over the place. It can kind of put you into a roller coaster. And then they typically, with most of the women that I work with, they actually aren't eating enough in general. So then you can often have sleep wake ups in the middle of the night, things like that, like your blood sugar can sometimes drop really low, and that can be a reason for waking up in the middle of the night. So I think blood sugar in general, which is also a, part of what regulates cortisol, can be a part of the whole picture. And in general, like if you think about how we live on this planet, right? When the light comes out in the morning, that's when cortisol goes up and we are awake for the day. And we kind of use cortisol like as a bad word, right? Like like cortisol is we think of it as like, oh no, cortisol is bad, but actually we wouldn't even be alive without it. So it's pretty important. It helps us wake up, and it's regulated with light. So if you want to start, getting that cortisol pattern looking healthy again, getting up in the morning and just like opening a window, looking out at the light, or getting outside if that's possible. I know it's not always possible for a lot of people. But then even in about midday, going outside and getting a little light on your body can help trigger your body to understand like what time of day it is, right? And so we're much more regulated by light than we realize. And it's really interesting, at night, then cortisol drops and melatonin kicks in. So melatonin is our quote dark stage of the night. So that's the pattern that you want. But oftentimes I see in clients like their cortisol will go up in the like in the evenings. We call that a relative elevation, right? Which in layman's terms is basically, okay, cortisol is doing the opposite of what it should be doing, and then it makes it very hard to fall asleep. So you want to be on this, as humans, we're in this diurnal pattern where we're awake during the day and asleep at night, and we need all those healthy, cortisol hormones and melatonin hormones to keep us balanced. There's a lot else to, discuss in terms of that, but that's kind of the gist. So if you're able to get outside at least a couple times of the day, that can make a big difference with your sleep at night. So managing that, also managing blood sugar, that's huge. The other thing too, just from like a diagnostic perspective, if you look at a GI map stool test, which I recommend everyone to do, it's really simple. You just, go to the bathroom, put some of your stool in a little container and send that off to a lab. Then you can come back and you can look and see kind of what's going on with your microbiome, right? So that's the environment in there can be tricky. You can have everything from a parasite to a candida overgrowth. There's all kinds of issues with like viral, and other infections in the gut, a dysbiosis of bacteria. All of those things can cause sleep issues as well. Particularly parasites are really interesting too, because they sort of become more active, especially around a full moon. So if you find you're waking up quite a bit during the full moon, that's potentially, a causal factor there. So it's always good to get a look at kind of what's going on inside in general. Your liver is also like an incredible key here. Like it can really affect, if it's not detoxed properly, you can kind of wake up in between the hours of 1 and 3. So for example, if you drink alcohol at night, things like that, you're more likely to fall asleep faster because alcohol kind of like tires you, puts you out. But then you can wake up later because your liver's like, oh no, I have to detox all of this alcohol and poison you just put in me. So now I'm going to wake you up and get that, cortisol going again at a time when it's not optimal, right? There's also a bunch of other things. Like, tell me about your experience with sleep too, because I also want to talk about female hormones and all of that too, but I feel like I've been talking for a while. So
Yeah.
tell me
No, it's great.
what you like to do for sleep.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so first of all, so I had a terrible sleep last night, and this is how
Yeah.
it used to be for me for years and years in London. I used to get like 4 hours a night, and I just powered through the day because it was a mental state. I just had to get into that mood because I couldn't simply go and lay down. I had too much to do, right? So I lived my life like this, and I've kind of gotten used to that. I don't feel great, obviously, with that little sleep. And last night I got, yeah, very little. I actually woke up, but I would say that I now often can pinpoint to why, and I sleep so much better because I have all these hacks. But last night it's hormonal driven. So I am about 2 to 3 days before due my period, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what seems to happen every month with me. And then, I've got a husband who is a big snorer. So I remember my mom when I was young, my dad and her, they had separate bedrooms. And I said, Mom, why? I was like 80 years old or something. I said, Mom, why do you have separate bedrooms? You're married and all that stuff.
Right.
Do you not love each other? She's like, my daughter, one day you will understand. So I haven't gone to those lengths, but yes, my husband snores quite a lot. And so I'm sleeping with a sleeping mask, so like a black silk sleep mask. And
Mm-hmm.
then I also have to have earplugs. But even though I have earplugs, it often like goes through the earplugs, and then like he like tosses around, and then I like bounce on the other side of the
Yeah.
bed. I mean, I'm sure a lot of women will kind of laugh and like,
Totally.
that's me as well, right? They
Right.
can feel themselves in that. But I have to say that my sleep has gotten a lot better. And why is that? Well, I'm implementing a lot of hacks. So the first thing, let's start with the morning, right? I get out in the sunlight or in
Mhm.
the daylight. First thing I do, really, I get out of my patio or backyard, and first of all to ground, and then, but second of all to get that light because that resets your circadian rhythm. So I think that's really important.
Yep.
Um, and then I go through the day. For me, exercise is really crucial
Mhm.
because that also get that extra energy that I have. It kind of gets it out, and I sleep much better. The other hack that has really helped me hugely is red light. I'm a huge fan of red light therapy, so I use the red light bed, um, and that has helped me tremendously to kind of sleep better. And then also for me, very, very important to not eat within 3 hours of going to bed. That's super
Yep.
important. And that's the blood sugar that you were talking about, right?
Yep.
Um, and
Also,
then,
the energy of just it takes your body a lot of energy for your body to digest food. So if you're eating at like, the fancy hour of 9 o'clock at night, like a fabulous French person,
right, right,
it's
right.
very
Or the
cool to
Greek.
do that. But then you're
Yes,
going to bed at 11 or 12 with a full stomach, and your body actually, a lot of the energy that you use throughout the day is for digestion. So
right.
if you're, if you're doing that in the middle of the night, it's obviously not optimal. You're gonna wake up.
Exactly. No, exactly. So I think that's huge. And then obviously try and keep to a sleep schedule is big. Some type of relaxation
Mm.
technique, blue blocking glasses. So, all the screens that we have, that blue light is pretty bad for, it's very bad actually for our circadian rhythm and for the
Yep.
sleep because we want to get that melatonin when it gets dark, right? Naturally, melatonin production goes up,
Yep.
and that's a hormone. And, that kind of kicks in. Now, I supplement. I take magnesium before bed, which I swear by. I actually take a magnesium, which are the three different ones. It's a blend. Uh,
Hmm.
Magnesium citrate, magnesium choline, and one more. What can that be, Molly?
Glycinate, maybe.
Glycinate as well.
Yep.
Yes. That I think is very big. That makes a big difference. And then
Yep.
I also take those melatonin that actually melts on your tongue. So, and they're
Mm.
time release. So I take about 3 to 5 milligrams of that, about 20 minutes before I go to bed. But the key, and I've told you this before too, and I've actually talked to a number of people that take melatonin. The key is to fall asleep within that 20 minutes, because I feel that if you don't and you get woken up within that kind of, it's 20 to 30 minutes is kind of that golden time that you have. And if someone wakes you up, at
Mm.
least for me and people I've spoken to, your entire night is broken up and you waking up. So,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yes, I think that's also really interesting. And then the other thing that I've been trying lately, which is a company that I'm also getting involved with, it's called Centropics, but it's PMF. And I've been doing that, and I've been running actually a sleep cycle on that, which has been very helpful up till last night when, again, like my hormones are stronger than anything else, it
Yeah.
seems like that I'm doing. So
Yeah.
I'm still, right?
Yeah, well, let's talk about the hormones too, because for a lot of women, sleep can be an issue, especially if you're between the ages of like 35 and 50, which is like the happy golden age of perimenopause, right? Like,
Yep.
it can really affect your hormones and throw things off. And you need like proper estrogen and progesterone to be able to, kind of fall asleep, stay asleep, have a good deep sleep, that kind of thing. So typically in perimenopause, like the week before your period, you're gonna lose a lot of that progesterone. And the progesterone is kind of like the happy, like calming hormone that keeps you really sleeping well. So typically, if you can supplement with some progesterone, that can really help your sleep for sure. It can also, and then also if you're having, of course, the night sweats or the hot flashes, and you don't even have to be going into menopause. I mean, I know women in their early 30s who have night sweats, and they're dealing with all kinds of weird hormone things. I think it's really critical to get your hormones tested. I run a Dutch test, which is a really great way to just get a sort of snapshot of where you are that week before your period, right? So you take the test. It's a urine sample, or there's also a saliva sample. You can do both, and that will tell you the week before your period whether or not you're having too low estrogen or too low progesterone, or your testosterone is too high, or whatever the makeup is. Like that, like the funny thing about hormones is they all need to be in concert together and be in a nice happy balance. So your estrogen could be perfect, but your progesterone's super low, then you have an estrogen dominance because the ratio between the two is not right.
Mhm.
So it can cause all these happy sleep issues that women have to deal with. So I really recommend that every woman really go out and have your hormones tested when you're in this perimenopausal state, especially when you start to feel the shift, which a lot of us kind of are like, oh yeah, something feels different now, you kind of
Yep.
start to feel a little, in your like early 40s. I mean, some people even are feeling things earlier than that. And you can even go into kind of like a stress induced menopause, is what we call it, where if you're super stressed out, you're not really sleeping, you're not taking care of yourself for a long period of time, that can take a huge toll on your hormones and completely plummet your hormones. Now, this doesn't mean that you can't get them back. And this is the part that people think is crazy. They're like, oh, there's nothing I can do. My hormones are gone. And it's not the case at all. You can do low dose hormonal replacement, which is what I do with a lot of the women that I work with. And these are supplements that you can get from Fullscript. These are not pharmaceuticals. So there's really some very simple ways to do this stuff, and it's not really as complicated as people kind of make it out to be. Like I think there are a lot of people are afraid of hormones,
Mhm.
but they can help out with sleep. So and sleep is really everything, right? Like we kind of didn't talk about this. Like if you don't sleep well, you are, first of all, you're lacking energy throughout the day, so you're constantly looking for food too, right? Like I don't know about you, but like if I don't have a good sleep, the next day I'm like ravenous. I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm
I mean,
where's the
yeah,
yeah,
I think I am actually the opposite because I have to limit myself. So like today when I am very tired, I
yeah,
make sure that I eat less actually because if I eat more, it makes me just feel so much worse. So I'm
that's
pretty
true.
restrictive actually. I'm quite restrictive. I go much lower and eat less. I might
Interesting.
want to eat more, but I don't allow myself to because that's disaster.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, that's good. That's a good, but you also know and you're aware of that. So a lot
Yeah,
of people don't, they're not really aware of
right.
like, they're like, I feel depleted, so I need energy. So the body's like looking for energy in whatever way it can. So like, our kind of silly
Right.
sort of brains just choose like, oh, well, food is energy, so let's go get food. However,
Yep.
what you really need to do is lie down and take a nap, right?
But
But your
who
body's
has
kind
the
of like, I
time?
can't do that,
Yeah,
so I
who
may
has
as
the
well
time,
eat.
right? Oh
Yeah,
my god.
right. So,
I I
so
s
it's
I
tricky.
still have friends in London and they lie down. I have one friend, Donna, who I adore, but she takes naps like every single day. So I'm like,
Yeah,
you lucky bastard,
I know.
you're down like, 30, 40 minutes every day and she's like totally refreshed. So
Oh yeah. I know
yeah.
I know a woman who like legit gets in her pajamas at 4 p.m. every day and takes a takes a 45-minute nap.
Oh my god. Well, good for
I'm
them. Good for
Yeah,
them. I'm
good for them.
jealous.
Listen, I
I'm
get
jealous. I've never been able to. So even if
yeah.
I have the time, I just can't. I just can't.
I know. It's tough. Well, you don't even have to necessarily do that. You can take like what I call is like a brain break, right? So, stress throughout the day can also, like if you're very stressed throughout the day running around, that can also cause sleep issues at night because
Right.
your night mirrors your day, basically.
Yes.
So, if you're super stressed, then, it's time to take breaks throughout the day, even if they're for 5 minutes or even honestly 1 minute, where you're sitting down, closing your eyes and not thinking about the next thing, right?
Yep.
That's a major one. I think that stress in general and
Oh,
anxiety, I mean, a lot of that is also why people wake up or why they have trouble falling asleep.
yep.
It's that whole insomnia
Yep.
stress related insomnial issue. So there's all these things with sleep that contribute to sleep, right? It's like, did you get enough exercise? Did you like, are you in a cool, dark room? Like, are you,
Right.
there's all those things, but then it's like the sort of, uh, what's the word? Like the factor of stress, which is kind of amorphous, and you're kind of like, I don't know what that is or how to fix that.
Yep.
But stress, you really, there are supplements for stress. There's a cortisol management supplements. They're adrenal supplements, which I give readily to people because that helps manage your cortisol melatonin balance throughout the day. And also that's going to help with anxiety. It's going to help with depression. It's going to help with all the things that kind of contribute to that stress part of sleep. And also, EMDR therapy, which is really good. It's you can go to a therapist and get that kind of thing. Because a lot of people have sleep issues from post-traumatic stress disorder, that kind of thing, like something stressful that happened in their lives, and they just can't stop thinking about it, right? And
Excellent.
EMDR therapy is so great because it actually is a rapid eye movement therapy that mimics REM sleep. And REM sleep is that sort of light stage of sleep, like while you're dreaming, that actually reconciles your emotions. And sleep, that's why sleep is so important, right? For not only our bodies to recover, but also for your brain and mind to recover well. And I think that often, some of the times, the people who deal the best with stress are actually the people who get the best sleep, right? Because their brains, like, something bad happened yesterday, let's say, like, I don't know, you got fired from your job or something terrible happened, right? And then they have a really good sleep at night, and their and their brain is able to kind of reconcile that feeling. Then that's a better way to deal with stress. But if you're not sleeping, then you're never really able to reconcile that emotion, and then that emotion just kind of seeps through and causes even worse insomnia states and things like that. So that EMDR therapy is really great, and it's usually covered by insurance, which is awesome. You can go to a therapist and ask about that.
Mm. So
Yeah.
I think the other thing that is also really, really important, which I often it actually works. If I wake up at night, I do box breathing. And
Mm,
this is super, super beneficial because I'm a big, I'm kind of a worrier as well. So like at night, I wake up and then I start thinking about everything or everything that, is stressful I have to do and all that. So
yeah.
another thing is like have a piece of paper and pen and write down. That's what I'm doing too at night because otherwise I am looping it in my head. And then you do this box breathing, which is super helpful, I think, too, to go back to sleep and also kind of put you in just don't think about anything. Just think of that breath, like closing up that box, right?
Yeah.
So I do 8 breaths in, and then I hold for 8, 8 breaths out, and then I hold for 8. So like sipping up a box.
Yeah.
I think that's really really good as well.
Oh yeah, even like a 4-7-8 breath. I'll do that with my daughter before I put her to bed. So we'll do
Yeah.
you breathe in for 4, you hold your breath for 7, and then you release slowly for 8. And that, like, you're by the second one of those, and you can do 4 in a row, but by the second one you're yawning and you're like, wow, like now I'm like really ready for bed. It's
Well,
kind of amazing.
yeah, no, it is amazing. I mean, that's all. Breath is so. I mean, it's incredible, right? What
Yeah, it
you know.
calms your nervous system. And that's really what you need to be able to fall asleep. You need to have
Right.
a calm nervous system.
Yeah. And
And sometimes when you're breathing too, like when you're doing a breath, and you're like, let's say you're in a sympathetic state. So you're like very stressed and you're nervous or whatever, and you start to do like a 4-7-8 breath, you'll notice that at some point in those like 4 breaths, your body, like, you start to stretch or you yawn or you just kind of have this feeling where all of a sudden
feel more relaxed,
you're
kind of.
more relaxed, and that's the trigger for the parasympathetic state. So look
Mm,
for those cues, like you're doing the breathing and all of a sudden you're yawning, and then you're like, oh, now I'm stretching, because when you're in that parasympathetic state, you're very tight. Your
right.
body's like, you just think of like someone who's like super stressed and they're like holding their fists, like.
Yeah.
So when you're in parasympathetic, you're like, oh man, I want to stretch my back, or like,
Right.
on or whatever. So if that's a good, it's such a good technique, and that's why it helps you sleep. Yeah.
And I think the other one, I read the book. Did you ever read that by Matthew Walker, Why We Sleep? That's a
No.
really Yeah, that's a really good book actually that I
Ooh,
think is excellent for for our the people listening in here. Yeah, he covers a lot of things that we actually talked about in his book. It's really good.
love that.
Yep,
Um,
that's
I
great.
a couple other things. I mean, there's so many things with sleep. I just like when we were going to do this podcast, I was like, oh my gosh, I have like 75 things to
I
say.
know. And we probably think about them afterwards, right? We get to think
Right,
about
right.
more
Well,
things. Oh, we want to add this and this,
there's also, so there was a study that was done on light therapy during sleep. So like they did this study where they just showed like a very small light on the bottom of the foot while someone was sleeping, like just like a flashlight basically, and just a tiny little flashlight on the bottom of the foot, and how that actually triggered cortisol and woke the person up. So
Wow, that's
so light,
crazy.
right. So light is so critical. I mean, and we live in this world where we turn all our lights on at night, but that is not exactly how this world was designed, right? So
Exactly.
right. So it really is key to like make sure your room is super dark, like have
Yeah.
blackout curtains, or like you wearing the mask. That's great. Um, and then also like temperature, keeping the temperature low. Oh, and then the lights too of like devices and things in your room.
Yes.
Like I have a smoke detector that has this obnoxious light on it, and I'm always like, that's
Ah,
the light. Like I'm
oh, that's the
like
worst.
it's the
Yes.
worst, but you can buy this like red tape. And I think I had to do it several times actually. I had like 3 layers on top of that light. But
Oh my
you
God.
put that like black tape or red tape on top of the light to try so that something like that can really wake you up too. It's like so bright in a dark room.
Wow.
And it's up so high. So it's kind of like you have to kind of get to it. But that kind of thing can make a big difference too.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, all those little lights and things. And then also like EMF can, believe it or not, keep you up. So EMF is electromagnetic frequencies, which we have plenty of those, right? Like it's like your Wi-Fi router, your smart TV, if that's on, if you have that in your bedroom, any other electronics, if your phone is plugged in right next to your head, like that's EMF that's really gonna like
Oh,
affect your
terrible. Oh,
yeah.
turn your
Yeah.
phone off at night. Yes, your
Yeah.
alarm will still work.
Yes,
It's
exactly.
it's
I
non-negotiable.
exactly. Yeah, and even for me, like I keep my phone plugged in and charging in the bathroom. So like I can hear my alarm going off, but it's more than 10 feet away from me, which I think that's kind of the key, like to keep your phone about 10 feet away from you at
Yes.
night. Or even
Yes.
put it on airplane mode at night. I know some people can't do that. They have like emergency calls coming through and stuff like that. There's a tip, like on your phone, there's those emergency calls that can come through even if you have your phone on silent. So
Right.
if you have like, an elderly parent, or you have, someone else you're worried about or whatever, like, put them on that special I don't know what you call it. Like it's just like a special emergency number on the phone.
Right.
So that's good. And then you can keep it kind of off, and so it's not dinging all night and like waking you up and just
Right.
disturb.
Exactly. Exactly.
But even like those smart TVs that people have, if you have one of those in your bedroom, like that actually, unless you unplug it, it's actually searching for Wi-Fi like all night. So it's really worth just unplugging it at night, just the whole thing, and then plugging it back in the morning. It's really not that big of a deal. Or you could put it on a timer. Like I actually have my Wi-Fi on a timer switch. So it's like those like Christmas tree timers, right? That you set your Christmas tree to go to, light up at like 5 o'clock every night or whatever. So now it's like, okay, I know my Wi-Fi is going to go off at 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. You pick the time so that, people in your house aren't mad at you for turning it off.
Right.
Uh,
Right. Right.
and then that can also help with sleep in general, just in terms of the Wi-Fi keeping you kind of uh like stimulated at night, right?
Yep. That's
Yeah.
great. I think these were some good tips. I mean, I hope our readers or our listeners, not readers, listeners, can kind of take away some of this stuff that we talked about, because I think there are a lot of good tips there, right?
I think so. Yeah. What else did we talk about? We talked about supplements for sleep. So magnesium is really super important. Often I really like inositol. I don't know if anyone here has tried that. It's also a very calming one. It's really good for like stress and anxiety, things like that. It can keep you really calm. It's also really good for female health. So that's a great one. Pretty much any magnesium. I like magnesium biglycinate. I do a whole like thing of that every day. I think that that's important. And you take melatonin. I'm trying to think what else. Melatonin can be a little tricky. Like for some people, it works like a charm, and others, it can like wake them up later at night. So,
Or
you
my
know,
husband gets angry the next day. He can't take it. He gets,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
more angry, more
I can't take
angry.
it either. I don't know what it is, but it actually like it wakes me up more at night,
Isn't that
weirdly.
weird?
It is.
Wow.
I think it
Well,
depends on the person, though.
yeah,
It's like a
we're all
very
individuals, right? We're all different.
Mhm. Totally, 100%. And yeah, and then also just like I wrote down like alcohol, just alcohol. Everyone thinks that alcohol is great for sleep. They're like, "Oh man, I pass out like in 2 seconds when that's why I have a glass of wine every night," and that kind of thing. But the tricky part with alcohol is that you fall asleep quickly, yes, but your body is really struggling to detoxify it all night. And that's kind of that 2 to 3 a.m. liver wake up when you're like your liver's like crying, like, oh please, like what now? We got to get rid of this stuff. So I know a lot of people who kind of use alcohol as a sleep aid. And I would advise against that in general. It's not going to help your sleep. It's just going to hurt it more. If you're having trouble falling asleep, like, try those breathing techniques we recommended, try the supplements, try like just keeping the room dark and cold. That's like the ideal temperature for sleep is what I think like 67 degrees.
Hmm.
And if
And
you're,
get out in the light as well in the
yes,
morning. That's really key.
that's key to just keep that circadian clock on
Yeah.
schedule.
And
So
not eating 3 hours before bedtime at least. That's a
yes,
so.
yes, agreed. And those like, and also like even if you eat really early, like let's say you have like a 4 p.m. dinner, sometimes actually then your blood sugar can drop too low at night, and then cortisol actually goes up to wake you up because it says, oh my God, your blood sugar is too low and this is actually dangerous. So you need to wake up and eat something.
Right,
so
right.
so you can have both issues. So, try to eat at a, proper hour, 5 to 7 is usually like key. And then for some people, like I don't always recommend it, but sometimes a snack right before bed that's high in protein can help if you're having that blood sugar imbalance. I don't recommend it for everyone, but I do think if you're struggling with blood sugar, that just having like a piece of turkey, which doesn't sound so appetizing later, but because you really want the chips or like whatever it is,
Yeah, right. Or
but
that ice cream, or the ice cream.
or the ice cream, right? Any of that is like a definite no because
Or
that's
or the
blood.
chocolate.
Yeah,
Chocolate with like
right.
loads of caffeine in it too.
Um, but like a little bit of protein right before bed, that can help if you're having that sort of late night wake up issue, if that's related to blood sugar, and it's so tricky. Each person's different. The reason you're waking up can be different for everyone. So that's why it's good to work with a practitioner or work with a health coach and sort of hone in on like what is your issue with sleep? Like what is it that is it stress for you? Is it anxiety for you? Is it that you don't have enough magnesium? Is it that your room isn't dark? Is it that your partner snores all night or your dog jumps into bed at 3 a.m.? Like those are sort of basic ones. And I actually think it's funny, like that people make such a big deal about this like social issue of like men and women not sleeping together. Like suddenly, like if you're not sleeping in the same room, it means your marriage is over. Like I think that that's kind of like ridiculous if you think about it. It's like,
I mean, it is ridiculous, but at
yeah.
the same time, I am also reluctant to have separate bedrooms.
Right,
So,
right. I know. Well, it's
you
also
know,
hard, like who has that many bedrooms either to like,
right, right, right,
it's
right.
like you would have to have a mansion or whatever. But I think that it does, like sometimes I've heard, and I hear this all the time from clients, right? They're like, my husband snores, I can't fall asleep. And so sometimes it may even be like sleeping in the same room, but maybe you get a couch or a bed or something that's like you're still in the same room, so it's like okay, but you're like maybe you moved yourself slightly from the person, so it's not as disruptive. Because at the end of the day, your partner's going to like you a lot more if they've slept, right? So
Oh yeah.
like,
Oh yeah.
let's call a spade and say that like
Yeah.
sleep is more important, I think, than this whole like social construct of like we
Yeah.
must all be sleeping together in the same room
Yeah.
and blah, blah, blah. I know like back in the old days, didn't they always had separate rooms for men and women, like back in like the early 1900s. You go into these old homes and they're like, and this was the wife's like part room where she slept and
Right.
she had her own bathroom. And I'm like, wow,
Right.
that's like so sophisticated. Why did we
You're
go to that?
right.
Like they go to bed to they like meet in one room and they,
Right.
chat and have their like kind of evening routine in one room. And then the husband goes to the other room and then they both sleep happily at night.
Oh,
I
I
was
love
like,
it.
that's the dream. Like
I know. I know. I know.
that and separate
Um,
bathrooms. But yeah, I don't
yeah.
know.
Oh God. Anyway, I think this was good. I actually have to run.
Yeah,
So
yeah, me too. This is
yes.
great. Yeah. So I hope you
Great.
guys, had fun listening. And if you have any questions, let us know. And if you have any great sleep hacks, please, share
Yes.
that as well, because we're always
Yes.
open to hearing. Everybody has a different method. So um,
Molly, your email or where can people reach you?
sure. Yeah. I'm Molly at detoxcafe.com or mollysiegel.wellness on Instagram. So you can DM me, ask me questions, or I think even on the podcast, you can write a little note there. So yeah, so get in touch with us any way you can. And also just subscribe to us too. That would be really great because that helps our rating on Spotify.
And I'm Alexandra, which is Scandy Labs at Instagram, or Alexandra Cochran 2, my personal one on Instagram, or otherwise is Alexandra at scandylabs.io. So yeah, please send us a message, anything, what you want to hear, tips that you have that we didn't mention, or any funny stories. We can share them in our next podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and so happy sleeping, everybody.
Happy sleeping. Oh,
All
I'm
right.
yawning.
Yeah, I
Can I
know,
go to
right?
bed now?
Bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye.